Hi, Meg. So I don't kind of get your question. Having issues, I don't know what to do. Follow your video. Reason some reason flex wrap from the mobile keeps transferring to monitor. I don't know what you mean by that, but I think what you mean is that you're not getting the right menu, maybe. Um, so there's a few things that you've missed here from the video. So for starters, you need to control the second child, and I did mention that in the video. You need to control the second child. It's because the first, so sorry, I'll just refresh this. The first child is actually the logo. So your anchor, first anchor is actually this logo here. So it's the second child that you want to make the burger menu for on the mobile. Okay, and that needs to not show. So if I go to large screen, 1280. So, 1280. Right, so you can see that it's not showing in the large one, and on the mobile, it's showing. Okay, and the way to do that is to make a selector for not the first child, sorry, but for the second child. So numbered child, number 2, and in the mobile's case, it's display flex, so that it centers it off. In the monitor, you have, sorry, I didn't do it in the monitor, I did it in the tablet because it cascades down. So in the tablet, I've got again, the same selector, number 2, and this time a display of none. So both in the tablet and in the monitor, it will hide that item from the menu. So if I go to here, you can see it's not showing on the desktop. Actually, that's tablet there. It's not showing on the desktop, and on the tablet, it's not showing either. Okay, so there's a few other things that you're not overriding here. Now, and there are some issues. So I've noticed here that if I look at your articles, you're putting a height of 100. You need to use units. So what unit are you using? So that you can see that's an error because it doesn't know what unit you're trying to use there. Is it pixels that you're doing 100%? You shouldn't be stretching both either. Within, so the article itself, I suppose that would still work, but that's an automatic feature, so you wouldn't even need that. So that could cause errors along the line, and you've got that in both the tablet and the mobile. So I'd probably just leave the height out for both of those, which is, so for tablets 90. So it's right here, so just remove it. So you should use either percentages or pixels. You shouldn't just leave it at 100. And the same thing with mobile. So mobile is at 203. So remove that because that can cause issues down the line. Okay. So if I refresh this, hopefully it'll get rid of that. All right. Now, for some reason, I don't know if it's to do with my so you've got width of 100%, height of auto, display flex, margin bottom, and then space between. But for some reason, my widths don't want to change in here. Might be something down the line that's maybe controlling it. Article display of block. Okay, here we go. Actually, no, that shouldn't make a difference. Padding, border box. I don't know if it's to do with my browser, but in your mobile, your articles widths should actually be 100%, not 33%. But it looks like here, oh, actually, I'm on the iPad, so I'll change this to iPhone and see. Oh, it looks like, no, it's not working. Okay, so here's where I can see, yeah, there is a problem, and for some reason, the it's being controlled by, actually that's a small phone too. It's being controlled by the tablet and not the mobile. So let's take a look at, so one of the big issues here is sometimes you not putting in a semicolon where it's required, or not closing something where it's required as well. that can always cause problems. So make sure that you've always got semicolons. That shouldn't be a problem there. Make sure that you've always got semicolons with your rules, or else things won't work correctly. And tablet, let's take a look here. If I close this, okay, there we go. So you can see that what you've done is you have not wrapped all of your rules inside of this media query, and therefore all of these are seen as global and they're overriding everything else. And this is the problem, right? So you need to make sure, so you must have put I'm going to just do something here. So what you've done is you've put here, you've put an extra bracket where it shouldn't be, and this is what's causing the issue. So let's see. Okay, that's still not closing right. So you've got extra brackets in places you shouldn't have them. I'm going to put a comment there. Just so it just makes it easier for me to find it. There. See, yes, see, you've got a bracket here and you've got a bracket there. So these extra brackets are going to cause problems for you. So in your case, it's not a case of not having the brackets or the semicolons. You've got too many. So again, if I close this, now it's all in one area. Okay, and so hopefully this will solve your issue. So now it's doing the right thing, and it's picking up the mobile, but for some reason, mobile auto flex space between overflow auto. Why have we got overflow auto? I suppose that shouldn't make a difference. Justify space with 100%, but for some reason yours is still not changing dimensions. I don't know if it's just the fact that it's my, again, I don't know if it's my browser or not, but I mean, this should change. Okay, hang on. No, they're all inside. Articles 100%, height auto. Okay, so it's to do with something to do with the flex in there as well. Okay, no, that shouldn't actually make a difference. So we want it to be flex because we're justifying content space bottom. Oh, actually, that should be flex, and these guys are display flex. There's something in here that's kind of messing around with the hang on. No, that's right. I don't know why it would do that. There's something that's not quite right here. It might be to do with the way that you've set up your HTML. So, okay, so we can do let's do a flex direction of column, and that fixed it. Okay, so that's the problem, is that you didn't have a flex direction of column in there, which I missed as well. So 193 in the mobile. So this on the mobile, it should be a flex direction of column so that it stacks up on top of each other. And we need to see where the articles, so there doesn't seem to be an articles on the oh yeah, there is. So on the tablet it's 33, and so that needs to be set to, so that's 90. Yeah, so articles, this one here, we need to also put a flex direction of, in this case, row. So it forces it to be a row. And so I'll just make sure the mobile is saved as well. Okay, so now this thing just keeps causing issues. Right. So that's the iPad, and the iPhone is now stacked, which is what it should do, like that, except you need a bit of space between those, each of those articles, which you don't have here. So just put a bit of a margin or something. Article in here, margin bottom. Just to have a bit of space between those articles. But you can see that you've got hundreds though. So you've got heaps and heaps, so people need to scroll up and down for this. Okay, well hopefully this helps you. Now the only other thing, of course, is that you haven't done the little bit of JavaScript that makes it go up and down. Now I am expecting you to submit this by today, please, because I need to mark it. Okay, so please make sure you submit it by today. You just needed to, in your index, within your body, create a script tag. Okay, so I'm just using Emmet, typing script, hitting the tab key, and in that tag we're going to create a very basic script, which is create a function first. We name the function open_nav. A function must have brackets, facing brackets straight after it, and then facing curly brackets straight after that. And our script goes inside of the curly brackets. So in here we say use the DOM, the document object model, to grab from within the document our nav. Now, let me just make sure that you've got the right structure here. Yep, so you've got a nav in there. So we want to grab the nav and, sorry, I'm doing jQuery here. in with plain vanilla JavaScript, you have to say get elements by tag name. Get elements by tag name, and then we need to pass to that a string. It says there a string, so it needs to be within quotation marks, and we need to pass the name nav, so we're selecting the nav, and in square brackets we're grabbing the first item on the list, because even though there's only one item in there, it still returns a list of items, so we need to grab the first item on the list. Class list is the function that will allow us to add or subtract a class, and we want to toggle. So if we toggle, that means that we're adding it in and taking it away. And you've already got in your CSS, pretty sure, a open nav or something like that. Let's see. Yep, open nav. Right, so we want to name it exactly that without the dot though. In JavaScript, pure JavaScript, you don't use the dot. So we want to put that in there. And now this won't work until we call this function. So we need to call this function. I'm going to copy this with the accompanying facing brackets. So open nav. And we need to call it from our burger menu. So I'm going to go all the way at the top here. Our burger menu is the second item. So you've got a logo as the first item. So in here. And we put an on click into the anchor itself, not the list. So on click, and we paste in that function. Put in a semicolon as well. Okay, so when we click on the burger menu, it will then call this function and it should run it. So hopefully if everything's been set up correctly, let's take a look at your mobile CSS. Open nav height 550. Well, let's take a look. Whoa, what's going on there? Oh my god. I don't know why it keeps scrolling down this thing every time okay. Yep, so that's working, but you just didn't animate it. So you can see it opens and closes. So to animate it, that's pretty simple as well. Within the mobile, I would do it, because then that cascades down to everything else. We want the nav, so we're looking for the nav here, and you've got a very, very quick transition. Half a second's better than 0.5 of a second, so you can see that animates, right? So you had it set to 0.5 of a second, so that's really fast, right? So half a second, and you can see that works. Right, so, and that's done. So I think the only thing you need to do is maybe clean up a few things here. You might want to maybe just add a little bit of padding to your articles within mobile. So padding 5 pixels or something like that. Or it could be, experiment with that just to bring it in a little bit, something like that. So I've got maybe 10 pixels or something. That'll bring it in so that the text isn't hitting the edge. And you might want to make those icons a little bit bigger and so on and so forth. All right, so in mobile 204, I can add a bit of padding, 10 pixels. And so that now this should have that 10 pixel thingy, and the footer needs to be fixed as well. So on your footer, you didn't put in, so what I did with my flex, let's take a look at your structure though. You got that, and then you've got each of those. Yeah, okay. So with the footer, what I did is I gave it a flex of wrap of wrap, so that it forces these to stack on top of each other. And I made this thing here a width, so the H5, I made it a width of 100%, which I think it already is anyway. And then you might need to change the font size so that it suits that that there. And you might also need to put in a padding on the footer, 10 pixels, just to push it in a bit, and that also means that I now need to change the font size a little bit more, just to put that in the center there. So you can see that worked, right? So let's start with the footer on the mobile. Now the only thing is that any rule that doesn't exist within the mobile needs to also exist within at least the tablet, right? So footer 256 in the mobile. So all I did was just put padding in there and a flex wrap. So flex wrap, and padding 10 pixels. That might actually not need to translate over to iPad or desktop. It might work, still work. So you can see it still works quite nicely there. So you probably don't need to put it in the tablet. But the only other thing, of course, is that I made the H5 font size 30 pixels, right? So, and the H5 is, I think, at the top of the mobile, right? Or it should be anyway. That's where I would have put it, right at the top. H5, yep. And sorry, I said 30, but I think I dropped it down. Oh man, all the way down. Yep. So I might have to redo that. No, good. So drop that down to about 20. So there's probably a couple of things that I might do here that might need to translate over to at least the tablet. So first of all, 24 font size 24 pixels, which is in line 39. So 24. So just keep in mind H5. So I'm going to go to the tablet, and I'm pretty sure there's no H5 in the tablet, right? So just here, the font size was 30 pixels, I remember. I'm going to also change the display type to inline. In this case, I think that would be okay. And the width to auto. Okay. And then what I want is I'm going to copy these two, display. I'm going to go back to my mobile, and in the H5 here, I'm going to add these in there. And so that's going to be a width of, so we want to override, right? So 100%. Just remember that the mobile gets overridden by the tablet, and the tablet gets overridden by the desktop. But we only need to change it for the tablet. And display would be block. Okay, so that it takes up that whole percentage that you see there. Font style normal. Okay. Font weight 100, italic, block, display block. Height. Like this. Okay. I think it's because of the distribution on this thing. So in your footer, I think you've got justify content center, justify content start. Actually, no, center was right. Oops. Center. Maybe align items. No, that doesn't work either. I'm just trying to get rid of this. I think if we change the footer's height, then it'll bring those a bit closer together, something like that. So for the mobile, maybe change the footer's height to 107, 258. I don't know, it's your own personal preference, really. There you go. So that's fixed that as well. Okay. So now you've got a mobile version that works the way it's supposed to. Got a tablet version that works the way it's supposed to, and a desktop version that works the way it's supposed to. Hopefully this helps. Please submit your work by today. It should have been submitted yesterday, but as I said, I don't do things on Saturday, Sunday. Okay, so I'll need you to submit it by the end of today.